Tell us about your background and role with Liberty Utilities.
My background is I've been 16 years in the utility business, worked for a Midwestern utility who recently joined Liberty Utilities. My background at that utility was starting out in engineering, did 7.5 years of transmission line engineering, and then moved into management of design for a few years, and then got into customer service after about 10 years of being in my career. As the director of customer service, coming from engineering was actually a fun transition for me to be able to turn some of the customer service processes into engineering problems. And so I did that a lot in that first role and made a lot of changes in the way we did things that first round.
Tell us about your key initiatives and projects.
I became the National Vice President in January, and one of our focuses right now, my focus, is to bring all of the regions and the corporate staff together as one group. So we have a little bit of natural segmentation that would happen as we've bought a lot of utilities as Liberty Utilities throughout the last 5 years. And my role right now is to bring those together and improve our operations. So process review, key initiatives. Number one is bring the people together to evaluate 5 of our processes out of the many we have, just to kind of narrow it down as a focus and end up with some key benchmarks in those 5 areas. So some pretty key ones that we would all agree are probably important, that we agree with how we do things and that we have the same measurements as the industry does. And then the last one is going out for RFP on 2 bigger items to make sure we have the right product. So billing and payment options and our phone system that our customer service managers and reps use. So those are there are a lot of initiatives within those, but those are the 3 key areas we're focusing right now as it relates to customer service. And then on top of that, as a company, we have a commitment to community effort that we're doing to help move our CSAT, J.D. Powers numbers in a positive direction and let our communities know more about what we do. And then smart cities.
What are the major challenges to streamlining your processes?
So first key challenge is getting everybody on the same page. And so a lot of differences state by state and utility by utility. So first few months this year is just getting to know everybody and getting people to know each other so we can bring the team together to be one. So the natural challenge will be that there will be a regulation that says we shouldn't be able to do it different, or a local preference. And so getting people to change the mindset to realize if we can get best practices out of all the good stuff we have going on, then we could actually end up having a pretty big improvement. On top of that, one of the challenges we have is some of the systems that we've rolled into every one of those utilities are not our preferred systems long term, and so we're dealing with some of the antiquated systems that might limit our ability to really improve processes or to improve the operation. So the positive to that is that most of our people in the regions have ideas of how to make improvements, but sometimes are limited by the system or either a regulatory requirement.
In this digitally connected world, what's changing?
Yeah, so we are going to move to a centralized platform for ERP and CIS. So we're going to move to one technology in the future, and we are pretty well narrowed down on what that is, but I'll leave that for another time to talk about what that is. But as we move to that, we do see that being a driver to standardizing our processes as well. So it actually marries really well with my attempt to bring our staff working together with common processes, but we have to marry that up with the technology that we're going to end up having in the future. So it actually maybe forces us to do it more than if we were to do it just on a need to improve a process. That's actually getting ready for the technology or making as many improvements before we have technology is all part of a pretty good cycle that we're in right now.
What does your customer experience look like 5 years from now?
Liberty Utilities customer service 5 years from now will proactively reach out to customers about their usage. It will have high bill alerts maybe 1 or 2 weeks into the month. As soon as we know there's a higher usage, we will be working with those customers early on in an automated way. We will be responsive in whatever technology the customer wants. So from social media to any interaction that they would like to have, we will know what that is, and we will also internally be able to be more dispersed around our regions and not necessarily have to be so centralized. So the technology we're looking at is enabling us to have that local office, but allow that person to be a rep as though we're in one contact center.
How do you take utilities from back of mind to front of mind?
You bet, yeah. So that is a part of our communication strategy. One of the things we've seen in our survey results, when we ask the question of how safe or how reliable is your utility, or how well do they communicate to you about safety and reliability, we get a very poor score. It's one of the downgrades to our survey results. And a lot of that is our humble approach that we've taken to not bragging about work we should be doing anyway. One of the things we're doing now is to really categorize what we do in a way that lets people understand how that improves their life. So when we're out changing out poles in a line or replacing gas main or water main, in a real-time way, communicate to customers like highway projects do, that we are on time, on budget, and we made something, it made an improvement to the area. So exactly how that looks, by the end of this year, we'll have some commercials and billboards, that kind of thing, that'll spell out what that looks like.
What's your view of your role with smart cities?
So we're excited that effort is underway and that the utilities are a part of that. Sometime last summer, EEI and the Mayor's Council got together and looked at what smart communities should look like in the United States, and we were right there at the table to have that conversation as well. What we see it as is an opportunity for us to build the communities we serve into a city that younger professionals will want to live in, and a lot of the stuff that will come out of that will be valuable to every customer, but it's potentially a good way for economic development to take that next step as we look to improving available technology, better use of energy, and really make our cities more competitive in that economic development realm. So that's the kind of direction we're going with it, and what comes out of that could be electric vehicle charging, solar, microgrid, downtown efforts.
What brings you joy in your work?
So what brings me joy in my work is actually making a difference for the employees we have and for the customers. So I am a people person, and I do like to make people's lives better. So one of the first things early on when I got into the customer service role in 2011, challenged the manager team at the time to find ways to make their jobs better and make our employees' jobs better while not making it easier from we won't do as much, but we'll get more done and be happier. And took a little bit of time to figure out what that really looked like, but after a little bit of empowerment and enabling, that group really helped make a lot of change and make a lot of difference. And in the end, we could all say we're doing better, our benchmark numbers have improved, and our employees are happier. That's really today what's driving me to make these changes and make these improvements. So we can see in the end that customers and employees might have been a bit frustrated at times with disparate systems and disparate processes. That 5 years from now, we'll have hopefully shorter than that. In short run, we'll have a much more satisfied employee group, which leads to a very satisfied customer base that knows that we are a great utility doing great work, and our employees can really help solve problems.
What would you tell your engineers you've learned about customer service?
Coming from engineering, I had no idea how hard of a job customer service really was. So I would tell them that this is a much more difficult job. A little joke about, smiling and talking to customers is my job. It's kind of a fun thing for engineers to joke about. The reality is this is a complex job, but the analytics that are available in customer service that aren't always available in engineering is actually sometimes far surpassing in customer service. For example, we don't know how much time an engineer necessarily works to get a job out. Always. It's not as accurately defined as what it is in customer service. So we can really manage things better with an engineering mind and those kind of tools than we can in some of our engineering practice.